10 Bizarre Murders Linked to Witchcraft. Welcome to Creepshow, the channel where we explore the macabre, mysterious, and downright chilling stories from history and beyond. Today, we're delving into a spine-tingling topic: murders linked to witchcraft. From ritualistic killings to crimes with occult overtones, these cases are as eerie as they are horrifying. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to join our ever-growing community of curiosity seekers. Now let's dive into 10 of the strangest and most unsettling cases of witchcraft-linked murders. Number 10. Wayne Hartung Sr., the Blue Moon Slayings. On a rare blue moon night in 2015, Pensacola, Florida became the scene of a grisly triple murder. 77-year-old Von Seal Smith and her two sons, Richard and John, were brutally killed in their home. The attack was vicious. They were beaten with a hammer, their throats were slit, and Richard was shot in the head. Initially, authorities speculated that the murders might have had ritualistic undertones due to the unusual circumstances and timing of the crime. Their suspicions turned to Wayne Hartung Sr., the half-brother of the victims, who allegedly practiced a loose form of Wicca. A book on the religion was found among his belongings, leading some to wonder if the killings were connected to the Blue Moon. Although Hartung was arrested and charged, the case remains clouded with mystery. Whether witchcraft played a role or not, the brutality of the murders left a lasting scar on the community. Number 9. Louise and Lloydine Stone, the Halloween Nightmare. In rural Texas in 1977, Louise and Lloydine Stone, self-proclaimed Wiccans, found themselves at the center of a tragic and bizarre event. As vocal members of the Church of Arianhu, they had recently appeared on local television to talk about their beliefs. This public attention drew the ire of local teenagers, who began harassing the Stones on Halloween night. What started as rowdy behavior turned deadly when a truckload of teens trespassed onto the Stones' property. Shots were fired, hitting several teens and killing 15-year-old Roxanne Casas. The Stones initially denied any involvement, but a search of their home revealed a recently fired shotgun. Though they claimed they fired warning shots in self-defense, the Stones were arrested and faced trial. Ultimately, they were acquitted, but the case brought negative attention to Wicca and sparked debates about prejudice against alternative religions. Number 8. David Nyberg, the Ritualistic Hitchhiker. In 1975, a chance encounter on the road turned into a gruesome crime. David Nyberg and his companions, D. Lou Davis and Kenneth Robert Houston, were hitchhiking when they crossed paths with Billy Glenn Isley. The group ended up in Tampa, Florida, where Nyberg's dark intentions came to light. In a shocking attack, Nyberg slit Houston's throat while chanting, "Die, Satan, die," then stabbed him dozens of times. Claiming to be a wizard, Nyberg later insisted he was under the influence of supernatural forces. His accomplices helped dispose of the body, driving it over 900 miles before dumping it. Nyberg was convicted of murder and sentenced to life in prison, while his accomplices received lighter sentences. The crime, with its ritualistic overtones, left investigators and the public disturbed by its sheer savagery. Number 7. Diana Haun and Michael Daly, a twisted sacrifice. Sherry Daly's abduction in broad daylight in Ventura, California in 1996 set off a chain of events that would reveal a horrifying murder plot. Witnesses saw her willingly enter a car driven by a blonde woman. Days later, her body was found in a ravine, showing signs of brutal torture. Diana Haun, the mistress of Sherry's husband, Michael Daly, was soon implicated. Evidence pointed to her purchasing items used in the crime, and prosecutors argued that the murder was intended as a human sacrifice tied to Haun's dabbling in witchcraft. Both Haun and Daly were convicted of Sherry's murder and sentenced to life in prison. Haun's defense argued that the focus on her alleged witchcraft was prejudicial, but the court upheld her conviction. Number 6. Cherrylle Dell, the fatal spell. In 1995, Cherrylle Dell convinced her estranged husband, Scott, to drink poisoned wine under the guise of spiritual guidance. Claiming she had a vision, she persuaded him to partake in what she described as a transformative experience. The wine, laced with antifreeze, killed Scott. After initially being ruled a suicide, The case reopened when Cherrylle's girlfriend, Nancy Fillmore, came forward with damning evidence. Tragically, Fillmore later died in a suspicious fire set by a teenager manipulated by Cherrylle. Cherrylle was convicted of first-degree murder for her husband's death, and later implicated in the arson that killed her girlfriend. The case remains one of manipulation and malice, cloaked in the guise of mysticism. Number 5. Mary Bateman, the Yorkshire Witch. In 18th century England, Mary Bateman gained notoriety as a fortune-teller and self-proclaimed witch. Operating scams under the guise of supernatural powers, her schemes turned deadly. One of her victims, Rebecca Perigo, sought Mary's help for health issues. Mary supplied magic remedies that ultimately poisoned Rebecca. After years of swindling and suspected murders, Mary's crimes caught up with her when authorities found stolen goods and poison in her possession. Mary was executed in 1809, and her infamy lived on as the Yorkshire Witch. Her skeleton remains on display at the Leeds Medical Museum, a chilling reminder of her dark legacy. Number 4. Angela Sanford, the Betrayal of Beltane. In 2010, Angela Sanford lured Joel Leyva into the New Mexico mountains under the pretense of celebrating the Wiccan holiday Beltane. Hours later, hikers found Sanford partially clothed near Leyva's stabbed body. Sanford claimed she acted in self-defense during an attempted assault, but evidence painted a different picture. Investigators discovered that she had labeled Leyva's phone number as sacrifice in her contacts. She pled guilty and received a 20-year sentence for the calculated killing. Number 3. Clara Jane Schwartz, the Gothic plot. In 2001, Clara Jane Schwartz orchestrated the murder of her father, Robert, convincing her friend Kyle Hulbert to carry out the act. Hulbert, armed with a sword, stabbed Robert 30 times, believing he was fulfilling Clara's wishes to stop her father's alleged abuse. Clara and her accomplices, immersed in dark and Gothic subcultures, blurred the lines between fantasy and reality. She was sentenced to 48 years, and her role in manipulating others into committing murder remains a cautionary tale. Number 2. Eric Christensen, the Blood Oath Betrayal. In 2010, Eric Christensen murdered his girlfriend, Sherry Harlan, after accusing her of breaking a Wiccan blood oath. Stabbing her multiple times, Christensen dismembered her body and scattered the remains across Washington state. Convicted of first-degree murder, Christensen's chilling lack of remorse left an indelible mark. He was sentenced to 37.5 years, his crime a haunting example of belief turned deadly. Number 1. Lawrence Douglas Harris, The Darkest Spell. In 2006, Lawrence Harris claimed he was casting a spell to protect his family when he killed his stepdaughters, Kendra and Alicia. Strangling and stabbing the young girls, Harris insisted the spell backfired. Found guilty of first-degree murder, Harris was sentenced to life in prison. His horrifying actions shocked the Sioux City community and remain a stark reminder of how delusion can lead to devastating consequences. These chilling cases reveal the dangerous intersection of belief and violence. Whether driven by delusion or cold calculation, these crimes leave us questioning the lengths people will go in the name of witchcraft. If you found this video fascinating, make sure to subscribe to Creepshow for more dark and thought-provoking stories. Stay curious and stay safe.